Thank you, Daniel. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this first meeting of 2026. I should start by wishing everybody a happy new year. Hope that it's a good year for ourselves and for our residents. Don't think there's any apologies for absence this morning, but I welcome Councillor Foster, at the back of the room over there, and also especially welcome our new director, Al. So welcome, Alan, to your first executive meeting, to your first week at North Yorkshire Council, and I hope you enjoy your studies.
Thank you very much. I've been made very welcome.
Okay. Can we do the minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of December? 15 pages of minutes. Are we happy with the true record? You nods around the table, so thank you for that. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? I have in the item, if it's item 9 on the new company about IT. I think, Mark, you have the same interest.
Declaration of interest.
Anybody else got any other interest?
The usual one, if second homes premiums ever discussed, I've got a dispensation. But I also noticed that in one of the area committees, the tourism tax was discussed. I'm unsure whether I'll have to declare an interest or not. I will have to seek guidance, but just so members are aware, I have a couple of holiday lets on the East Coast, and so I'll declare that now in case it arises.
Thank you for that, Gareth. Just to be clear, when we come to that item, reports of area committees, I intend to note the fact that the tourism tax has been referred to, but as yet we have so little information on it, I don't think we should have much of a discussion of it today. But we are working on a position with regard to the tourism tax, the visitor overnight levy. Okay, exclusion of the public on item 9. Can we agree that if we decide we need to go into public into private session for any discussion? And then public question statements, I believe that there are none. Is that right, Elizabeth?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So that takes us straight into item 6 then, please. School admissions arrangements, the annual session that we do. So, Annabelle, can I ask you to introduce it, please?
Yes, thank you, Leader. Good morning, everybody. This report covers the proposals for school admission arrangements for the academic year 2027 to 2028. It is an annual report, and in our role as admission authority for all community and voluntary control schools in North Yorkshire, the Council must have agreed admission arrangements in place by the 28th of February each year to apply to admission applications for the following school year. Excuse me. Proposals for the arrangements for 2027-28 were consulted upon between the 13th of October and the 25th of October last year, in accordance with the arrangements of the school's admissions code. The report sets out the proposals, including those for in-year applications received, the admissions policies that are recommended to apply for the year, the published admission numbers, PAN, for each school, and the consultation exercise and responses received. It is recommended that the proposals should be moved forward for approval by the full council at its meeting on the 13th of February. Happy to take any questions.
Okay. Anybody want to make any comments or ask any questions of Annabelle about this? This is the annual report that comes to us. Can't see anybody indicating. So, Annabelle, would you like to turn to the recommendations?
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I'd like to move recommendations at 11, 11.1 and 11.2, please.
Yes, that's second package. Okay, and can we agree those it is to go to okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Annabelle, on to you, please, again on item 7, mainstream schools, special schools budget.
Thank you, Leader. The local authority is responsible for operating a local schools funding formula for mainstream schools and academies in line with the national funding formula. Today's report makes recommendations in relation to mainstream and special school funding for 2026-27. Following the consultation with all schools and academies in North Yorkshire and discussion with the North Yorkshire Schools Forum during the autumn term of 2025. At the Schools Forum meeting on the 20th of November last year, the Schools Forum took the very difficult decision to approve 0.5% from the schools block to the high needs block for 26-27 financial year. This decision reflects the severity of the pressure on high needs funding locally. All mainstream schools are already under intense financial strain, and it was recognised that without this mitigation, this transfer places further burden upon them, which amounted to £2.4 million. The report makes recommendations around the funding strategy should there be a surplus or a deficit in funding after calculating the cost of the formula, and this is updated for pupil characteristics. The funding strategy will utilise the dedicated schools grant reserves and the utilisation of the growth funding. As mentioned, capping and scaling will be utilised only if required. The paper recommends applying the maximum funding protection of 0% for mainstream schools and applying for the Department of Education's mandated 0% protection for special schools. In today's report at 5.7, it also recommends increasing top-up funding, and that's known as the Element 3 funding by 2%. Schools funding is very complicated, as you will have read. Recognising the tightened school funding position for 2027, the paper also recommends that we continue to lobby for fairer and more equitable funding settlement for schools in North Yorkshire. As North Yorkshire is one of the lowest funded authorities in England for high needs, ranked 146 of 151 authorities for funding per head, we received £797.56 per head, compared with authorities that receive over £1,700 per head. The county faces a significant growing schools grant high needs deficit, despite extensive local transformation work designed to improve early intervention, extend our specialist capacity, and reduce the costly out-of-county placements. The demand and complexity of support required for children with SEND continues to rise sharply. Happy to take any questions, Linda.
The sub-manager discussion. Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Leader. Not a question, but as you'd expect, special educational needs is in my portfolio. And I'm just absolutely shocked by the information that's recorded at 3.7, where it says North Yorkshire Council is forecasting a cumulative budget deficit of around 24 million on the high needs by the 31st of March 2026. The unmitigated in-year deficit on the high needs for 26-27 is around 16 million, and the likely increase would increase the accumulated deficit to 40 million by March 2027. Those are shocking statistics. And we're told that government are going to address this, but it keeps getting put back and put back. And I just want to say the position that it's putting this council in, because we've already had delay and after delay, and at 5.2 it says this financial pressure is felt across the SEND system in North Yorkshire and represents an unsustainable position. It is unsustainable. And I'd like to join Annabelle in thanking the Schools Forum for agreeing the funding transfer. But let's be really, really clear here. This is not just about finance. It's about doing the right thing for our most vulnerable children, and we need urgent action from government. So I'd just like to put that on record. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. So, anybody else want to comment on this?
I'll just comment very quickly on the indications from government that they're looking to clear SEND deficits, call it what you want, up until 27/28 from memory, and also to fund the ongoing deficits and budget head. I'd just treat that with a little bit of caution. This is not going to, I don't think, let this council off the hook. There will have to be incentives for us to do the right thing, not just by the children, but financially. Secondly, if I was government and involved with Treasury, with that type of money that they're talking about across the country, that will be hard to achieve and fund. And what's the first department?
You might need life insurance.
And what's the first department that will ever be under the microscope? It's local government. So they may well take with one hand and only part give with another. I just urge a little bit of caution about that panacea sunny uplands, because I just don't see it happening in its entirety.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, Annabelle, can I ask you to turn to the recommendations, the whole page recommendations?
Yes.
If you think that you've covered everything in your remarks, I think you should block. But if there's anything that you want to focus on.
I think it's all mentioned by our leader from 12.1A to K. Each item is listed and it's fully mentioned in the report. So happy to move them on block.
So, because this involves a considerable spend of money, can we have a show of hands on this, please? Unanimous. Thank you. Let's move on to answer these. Gareth, can I come to this with the
Well, there's not a lot to say, and I'll ask Gary to just ratify what I'm going to say, which is very little. It was a company that was set up by Richmondshire District Council. It's never done anything. It's unlikely to do anything. And quite frankly, it's a tidying up exercise, and let's just get rid of it.
Yeah, thank you. Gary, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's Barry rather than Gary.
Oh, is it Barry?
There was a company created by Richmondshire more than 11 years ago to actually buy and create new housing. It's never operated there, but it's an administrative step of closing it down.
So he's just said Brav said, yeah. In far more eloquent terms.
Okay, anybody got any comments or questions about this? If not, can we? That's the recommendation. So improve the application, strike off and dissolve, and a voluntary strike off, and then we authorise Barry to take all necessary steps.
Actually, Jennifer Norton, my assistant director.
Thank you.
She does the work.
Okay, so can we agree that? I'll take notes for that. Thank you. And then item 9, this is where Mark and I have to declare the interest and leave the room.
And just to clarify, you're declaring an interest because you're directors of the company. It's not paid, it's not a numerated position, but we're making a decision about the company, therefore you have to leave.
Yes. You go.
Okay, so I'm going to turn straight to Gary Fielding to give us the very brief background to this.
Thanks, Gareth. And Jen's here, and Jen's been instrumental in pulling this report together. So if there's any detailed questions between Jen and myself, we'll very much be able to deal with those. Very simplistically, 9Net's been a very successful company. It's delivered a wide area network for the council and a number of public sector partners, and has also done some commercial work on the back of that. So I think 9Net is recognised as a really valuable asset to the council and to local communities over the last couple of decades. What this report is doing is it's creating an additional company. It's creating 9Net Public Sector Limited, and there's a business case there, and that company then becomes the TECL compliant company. So the majority of those public sector contracts would go through that. And what is currently 9Net would then become the commercial arm of the organisation, which means that 9Net is then able to better make inroads into the commercial areas and keep its TECL compliant status. So that's the driver behind this. There are an awful lot of recommendations, but the majority of them are quite pedestrian in line with that proposal. So I'm happy to just leave it at that and see if there's any questions.
Any questions from anybody? And also, oh, do you want to?
Sure. I just want to make clear that there is actually a financial risk to the council by taking this over. However slim there is a financial risk that it gets into trouble like some of our other companies really have to bail out.
We've got a response to that.
Yeah, I mean, this is not fundamentally changing the nature of 9Net's business. With all arrangements of this nature, there's no 100% guarantees, but 9Net is currently running well. And there is a board in place. There's a Brierley board which will oversee it to try and make sure that there's sufficient governance in place. It remains controlled by the council as the shareholder. So there's all of those safety features in place. This isn't actually increasing the financial exposure of the council. You'll see there in terms of the loan, it's moving the loan from one part to another, but isn't increasing the overall exposure. So there are always risks, but I don't feel this is one of those that's creating any additional risk at this stage in time.
Yeah. I'll just add to that, if I may, and indulge slightly. There's been a risk with any of the Brierley companies that form part of the Brierley group. But as I said at full council, and I think you were there, Kevin, taking into account shareholder value and declared net profit, this council over the last 5 years has benefited the tune of nearly just south of £50 million as a result of those companies. But we are aware of the risks involved. There's always going to be risks. So I would hope that all members across the chamber would rejoice in the fact that we took those risks and have contributed to the council's financial position. Janet.
Yeah, I just want to add to what you've said and give credit to Ninet, because I've been involved with this company right from the start. In 2011, when I was elected, I've got one of the sparsest areas in North Yorkshire on the Wolds, and they said it would be impossible to get fast-speed broadband down there. Ninet worked with the communities. They did a fantastic job, and they had the overage and expanded right across North Yorkshire. I think what they've done has been wonderful, and I'd like to say thank you to them. It's been a great company and a great experience to work with them.
Thank you, Michael.
I just wanted to make the point: doing things involves risks. Not doing things involves risks, and sometimes it's easy to focus on the risks of making a decision and ignoring the risks that not making a decision introduces as well. So I'm more than comfortable with it.
Thank you. Anybody else? And I don't think anybody's indicated they want to go to the pink papers. That then, can I have a proposal in terms of the recommendations?
Yeah, happy to propose.
I'll second it. I think we better put our hands up, haven't we? Thank you. Right. Will the chair back up?
Relieved of your command.
Yes. Oh. Yeah. You know, 3 minutes. We've got 3 items left.
Thank you. Can we move on then to item 10, which is the area committee feedback report? Heather, can I ask you to introduce it, please, and then we'll run through each area committee in turn.
Thank you, Leader. This is the latest round of meetings, which took place after we decided to have a sort of an in-person meeting where we went through a few of the concerns raised by the chairs and vice chairs, and hopefully that will help future meetings for the area committees, because I hope they've got the confidence now to bring concerns to us. There have been quite a few issues raised which maybe the executive needs to take more note of, and we need to find a mechanism to make sure that we're able to do that more effectively. But it's good to see that every area committee has quite a different slant, and the fact that they've got different organisations outside of the council, outside of the officers, to actually address meetings and get answers for them. So we've had the police over at Scarborough, which was a very interesting meeting about rural crime. And as I noted at the time, Northstead, obviously being a very rural area, along with Weaponness and Ramshill, and the central part of town, were very interested in how rural crime was getting on. They had a Riva addressing transport problems, and even the Chamber of Trade over at Harrogate came in. So I know that all of us as members of these area committees will have been at those meetings and hopefully picked up things that could be addressed.
Okay, thank you, Heather. I think area committees, we all agree, are very important mechanisms that we want to see work well. We did say at the start of this council that we wanted to be the most local of large councils. This is one of the ways that we can do it. Councillor Foster, you're indicating that you want
I'd just like to welcome the fact that we can get people like Arriva buses in, and just not to sound like an ongoing mate, but I've written to the Mayor of North Yorkshire asking to use his £4 million improvement bus service to get the point that was made at the meeting, the X26 in Gatwick Garrison, that's actually just not functioning. So that's how we can really make a difference by having those people in. And it was a long meeting, and they were considering 30-minute bus service for improvement. So I just thought I'd make a note on that. Thank you very much, Chair.
Right, can we now turn to the paper, and anybody want to make any comments on the Harrogate and Knaresborough area committee?
I note that they seem to be very concerned about active travel, and I believe they actually have one of the stronger teams over there to actually deliver it, perhaps better than maybe over in the East Coast. And maybe my colleague with responsibility would have a comment on that.
Yes, certainly, Chair, through you. Harrogate is the only area we just have a nominated active travel officer. I think that's correct, my understanding, because obviously the issues over there. So they are well supported in that department from North Yorkshire Council.
Yeah. There's nothing else. Let's turn to Skipton and Ripon Area Committee. Simon, please.
I can only keep silent for so long, Leader. Yes, we had a very productive meeting, but the one thing I would like to highlight to colleagues and particularly to Councillor Taylor is the resolution that we made at 3.3 on page 160, which concerns what is known as the Wyvern Link Road. It's part of a major bit of redevelopment in what is known as Skipton South. Was a project which Councillor Foster and I were very much at the heart of. We had funding from the LEP. We rebuilt our we made various other improvements there, and the necessity of this link road to get heavy traffic out of a very dangerous junction opposite the station in Skipton and connected to the bypass and all the new development and the industrial sites that have been developed there. So members of the area committee did ask that we simply don't want this going into the long grass. It isn't the fault of this council that it hasn't happened. It isn't the fault of Craven District Council. We got held up in a big way by the Environment Agency, but we're very keen that as soon as is possible, a business case comes to the executive. So I would ask Councillor Taylor and Parliament to please expedite things insofar as they can.
Okay, thank you. Mark, you want to do?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you. Obviously, I was at that meeting when we had that debate, and the local members were very eloquent in their, campaign to get that engine shed lane. And I fully understand under the old Craven District Council, it was on the agenda. As we sit here today, there is currently no funding for that, but that is work in progress that we are looking at. I understand, and the team understand the importance of that project. I think we're talking in terms of a £90,000 capital project, but it is on the agenda, and we hope to report back to you in due course.
Yeah, thank you. Michael.
I just wanted to highlight actually the difference between that item, which is in paragraph 3.3, where you've got a scheme that, as you acknowledge, doesn't have funding, but there's a general acceptance that it really needs to be done, and that there should be an appetite to do it within a reasonable timescale. And then the item in 3.4, which is the Nidderdale Greenway extension, as someone who was heavily involved in the creation of what is the Nidderdale Greenway today, there was never any expectation that it would be extended. There is zero chance of it ever being extended. The report has been clearly, and I did read the report, even though it's not my area committee, I read the report and it was realistic. And we do need to make the distinction between things that we absolutely think we should and can deliver, which is that link road in 3.3, and things that we should just draw a line under and say it's not going to be delivered. And we should focus on the right things. Thank you, Chair.
I hope I did, leader.
Okay, anybody got anything else then, or should we skip to the river? If not, let's go on to Scarborough and Whitby. I have to say, like right from the start, I do think we need to highlight this this discrepancy that there is between flooding and wildfire. I mean, both are natural disasters, so I think we should be vigilant about that. So take that.
I just wanted to highlight the 4.3 about the new bridge and the danger to school children. I just wondered, and I'm sorry, I probably should have asked before this, has there been any accident history on that new bridge? Because I know it's very close to I used to teach at those schools some 30 years ago, so I know the area very well, and I was just really surprised to read that, and I thought, has there been any accident history?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is I'd have to come back with that answer for you. I mean, obviously that is part of our rationale when we do consider the speed limits, which are the new speed policy for North Yorkshire. But I will, we can research that and get back to you with an answer.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Leader. You brought up about the wildfires, and I did ask what I thought was quite a relevant question. And as you went away with our MP, and she has not been as successful as she wished to get the fair treatment for our communities on Barnetdale and Langdale Moor. And I just hope that people understand that North Yorkshire have pushed and pushed and pushed us on this. And unfortunately, we've hit that brick wall, which is central government. So we'll continue to question and probe, and hopefully the publicity that this item got and such items in the Yorkshire Post will make sure that people understand, because it wasn't just North Yorkshire and Scarborough, it was West Yorkshire and South Yorkshire that were affected by wildfires. So there needs to be a change. We have to start somewhere, and that's here, isn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's item 4.2, and again, it's the local MP who mentions it here about the proper squeeze type, in inverted commas, fracking, because I know there's a discussion as to whether or not it is fracking. And she's asked the government for greater clarity. Members in this room will be aware that I wrote to Mr. Miliband a couple of months ago now, and just to let people know, I've not yet had a response. And without a response, we will clearly need to bring it to a strategic committee to make a decision. But I do understand there's a lot of anxiety in the area, and the local member, Councillor Basterman, has written to the Yorkshire Post about this, asking us to sit on it. But whilst we don't have a reply, then we have to think seriously about whether or not it's the right thing to wait. And I think we will have to make a decision very soon and go to committee and seek a decision from our strategic committee as to whether or not to give the go ahead for this. But I do understand it's causing a lot of angst in that area, and appreciate the works of Alison Hume. But as I say, after a couple of months, my good friend, Mr. Miliband, has not yet responded to me.
So there's a sense of urgency about this now, isn't there? With the fact that there's an imminent committee discussion to be had. I wonder whether we need to write again, Mark, and actually just request that information.
I think it would be good to write again to him and to copying Alison Hume.
Yeah, we could pick that up. Anything else, then, please, on Scarborough? If not, can we turn to Thurston Walton? I think to say here, we've mentioned the tourism tax. We will come back to this at a future meeting. Nobody's got anything else? Okay, Richmond Area Committee. We've already heard about the attendance of Arriva, sorry, not Arriva. Anybody else want to look at Richmond? If not, we'll go to Selby and Ainsty. Mark, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd just like to comment on the additional area meeting that Selby and Ainsty held. in relation to the tragic death of Councillor John Duggan. I think that was a very proactive meeting with all the local councillors and Carl and his team from the Highways Department. We've come up with some actions which are being implemented as we speak, I believe. And it was a real good example of how an area committee can work with officers and with exec members to deliver some real benefits for the community.
Just to add to the item about the planning issue, which is 7.2 on the agenda, Sherborne Town Council, as they are now, wrote to us about it. And members will perhaps also be aware that following that, Eggborough Parish Council all resigned following a planning decision made by North Yorkshire Council at a meeting I was present and voted on. And they are concerned about us giving permissions for houses. But what I have to say to you and to the committee chair is that we are under huge pressure from the government, as you know, to build more houses. And when we have refused planning permission, we have lost appeals and it has cost this council money. So when we make planning decisions, whether or not the parish or town council agree with them, we have to bear in mind everything, that all the information we have, and the fact that if we do refuse, we will likely go to appeal, and we have to have enough information and enough good reasons to refuse a planning permission to stand a chance at appeal. And if we don't, as we have learned recently, we not only lose the appeal, but costs are awarded against us. And some of those can be fairly significant sums of money.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody got anything else? If not, then I think that completes our review of the work of our area committees. Can we then move to item 11? Heather, anything to note for the board?
The next meeting is dominated by the revenue budget and MTFS, and that's to full council, and that's just those couple of items about nature recovery and temporary accommodation Scarborough.
Okay, thank you. The next item is any items of urgency. I know under none. So with that, I'll bring this meeting to a close. Thank you for your attendance and your contributions to the meeting.